I had to get up today, not only to get a lot of our newest material to our new record label, but also I bought a van for our music video that we're filming tomorrow.
Oh,
And I don't want to give too much away, but we had it painted just fit a specific kind of energy, and it turned out amazing. But I had to drive all the way out to practically, I don't know, an hour that way, and then coming back. And we bought this old van so it would all work. So it was clunking along, and we almost broke down a few times, but we got it home, and now it looks great, and the video is going to turn out amazing. How are you?
I'm doing good, Patrick. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Where are you?
Oh, I'm from India.
India? Is that where you are?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I love that. I don't know if anybody's heard of us in India yet, except for you, maybe.
So, Patrick, Spiritual Violence was released earlier this year. So, can you tell me a bit about the songwriting process and the production behind this?
The songwriting is always from the heart, and we had been touring nonstop for about 2.5 years. And it was almost as if I just kind of dawned on me that we hadn't put out another record, and it's probably a good time to do so. So we got home from the UK, and I sparked up a conversation with Jay Baumgartner, a hero producer of ours who's, produced so many legends. And he agreed to do the record, and we set a date. And then it dawned on me also that we didn't have any songs written. So I basically just hunched over my guitar for, I don't know, a couple months straight, and really worked on the stuff and dug down as deep as I could to write the songs. Colin Reed, who worked on the record with me, came up with some music for the song Zen. Stone Man at the time came up with some riffs for Amber Alert. Other than that, it was just pretty much, it all came organically from inside. It just spewed out as soon as I set that date. There it was.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. And recently you released a video named The Simple Things.
The Things We Do?
Yeah, The Things We Do. Yeah. So can you tell me a bit about the video and how you got to work with that children's choir?
Oh gosh, yeah. The song was written about the loss of a dear friend of mine. He overdosed on drugs while we were writing and recording together. So I wrote those lyrics about him and that story, and basically just how I felt about addiction myself, being a drug addict myself, now 15 years in recovery. But I remember when I was high, completely lost. My mind was in outer space, and I was hunched over that guitar coming up with the riffs for that tune. And I remember there was this group of people in this drug den, and I told them, I said, one day there's going to be a children's choir singing this part of this song. And they all looked at me like I was freaking nuts, and then fast forward a few years, and there I was watching the children's choir file into NRG Studios to record this song with us, and felt like a huge, huge dream come true for sure. But I found them on the internet. They had, guested on so many superstars. They've performed with so many of pop's, biggest artists, and I just feel so honored that they took the time out to come and do this song with us.
Sounds good. And can you tell me a bit about the cover art of that album? So it looks fascinating. So I just want to know, what was the theme that was put behind this cover art?
From the beginning, I've always been kind of a sci-fi junkie. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I just love space and, odysseys like that. Flash Gordon, anything with space I've been into for a long time. So the first album lent itself heavily to like this cybernetic female character. And from there, I kind of wanted to keep the theme, like Iron Maiden has Eddie, and I kind of wanted to have our Eddie. And I thought it would be cool if it was a female figure. And then somewhere in between the first record and the second record, we really lost the relationship, other than the fact that it's still a woman. I love powerful female figures. So I wanted that as the cover. I worked with the idea kind of came from the goddess of death and destruction, with all of the arms and everything else. But we did actually keep the cybernetic element to it. She's partially cybernetic, but it's just really it's a, you know, it's a dream child of all the sci-fi I grew up with, you know.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, and the cool thing is she holds each song. There's 10 songs on the record,
Yeah.
and each song is represented by a tarot card. So, so in arms, and each hand holds the tarot card representing each song on the record, and each song has its own artwork. So pretty deep. If you actually get your hands on the physical copy of it, it's something to have. It's really a lot went into it. It's growing up as a child, I loved going through my sister's vinyl collection, and I loved opening up the records and going through all the pictures and all of the artwork. I thought that that was a huge part of the experience. You know, while you listen to the record, let's dive into the visual aspect of it too, you know? And I think that this album has that. So as soon as vinyl is available for this, and the CD too, I would grab it.
Sounds great. Sounds great. And I had the opportunity to listen to the album in full, and it was like totally amazing. I totally enjoyed listening to the album in complete. And also to talk about the album, you had a song with Phil Campbell and a song with Carla of Butchered Babies. So how it was to be working along with them?
It's always amazing. Phil Campbell has been creating my demos with me since day one. He's always, you know, been so kind to come over and lay down his magic on all of the tracks that we've worked on together. And he's, you know, built me up a lot along the way, as all the Motorhead guys have. But Phil's always been there. Anytime I have a call, hey, you know, will you come do this, come do that? He's just such a dear friend that he takes every opportunity he can to help out, and I feel completely blessed for that. And the most recent one was this recording, Pardon Me, which is actually a song dedicated to Lemmy, of course, kind of a song as far into his perspective as I could go. I wrote the lyrics trying to come from that place, and he just came down and railed that song. We actually did the recordings of his guitar parts with Paul Ender, Lemmy's son, Paul Ender Kilmister, and the song was supposed to go on the first record, and then those tracks sat there, and we had to recreate the entire song with Jay over at NRG for this record. And we happened to just pull the tracks from the solo tracks that Phil had done before, and we threw them on this one. So the whole song got an upgrade, but we were able to hold on to all the hard work that Phil put into it a few years before. And then Carla Harvey has been a dear friend of mine for a long time. We used to sit in her Corvette and share each other's demos and talk about, you know, our dreams of being rock stars someday. And, you know, fast forward a few years, and she's gone on to do exactly that. And I feel like I finally maybe have a grip on getting there myself. And she was just super cool when we finally had the excuse to get together and her to come and sing on a track. We found the perfect one to do it for, and she came down and just, you know, like I've said it before, she laid down the devil on that track. She's amazing. And then the video too, she flew all the way out here from Chicago to film the video with them. So just amazing, you know, just so grateful for all of them.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. And one other song from the album really was an eye opener when I saw that. It was one of my favorite childhood heroes, Johnny Cash, with Falls and Prison Blues. So, how did you get the idea of doing something by Johnny Cash?
It's hilarious. I mean, I've always been a huge Johnny Cash fan. Walk the Line is one of my favorite movies, and also Walk Hard, the parody of that movie, is probably my favorite movie of all time, except for something maybe sci-fi. But huge Johnny Cash fan. But the thing that really turned me on to it is a black death metal band called Ectomorph from Hungary. Have you heard of them?
Yes, I do.
Amazing group. Zoli is like the real deal, super amazing gypsy, you know. But they had this version that was a lot like the one we do. And I basically stole the idea from them because I love the structure of what he did with it. And I knew that if I put on my vocal approach to that style of that song, it would really be something unique. And I knew it would blow the roof off the place every time we play somewhere. And who doesn't know a Johnny Cash song? I mean, the second I'm through the first two words in the song, everybody's singing along. So it's a great addition to anything we do. And to record it was a no-brainer. It was like, well, yeah, let's put this song on there, just because anybody who's seen us live is going to know that they're going to want that, you know, because it's just such a highlight for the live situation. So yeah, it was actually being a huge Johnny Cash fan, but then Ectomorph actually opening my eyes to like how you can really twist a song into something that's really your own. So I think we got the best of both worlds. We used a little bit of their version, definitely all of Johnny Cash's version, and there you have the Budderside version.
It sounds awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And talking about Motorhead, so you were touring along with Motorhead in the early days, and how was it like being along with Lemmy? And Lemmy even chose you to be on his own record label. So how did this all happen?
It goes way back to the early days of my Hollywood experience had been. I was a few years into Hollywood. And I fell in love with a girl who was one of Lemmy's best friends. And we just started running around the crowd together. You know, I found myself at rehearsals or at Lemmy's house, or, you know, running errands for him, or whatever I could do to be around them. I loved hanging out with them, but they would come over to my place too. I had this huge studio set up over there in Silver Lake, huge speakers, huge recording system. I had an electronic drum set. And we would play for weeks on end. We wouldn't sleep. And a lot of rock stars came traipsing through my place, you know, guys from Dio and from the Scorpions and from Motorhead and, you know, Ugly Kid Joe. And I mean, so many, it's just ridiculous how many people would come through that house. And they would all end up staying for a while. We'd all sit down in that back studio and just creating and jamming forever. And, you know, Lem would come by, and Todd, their manager, would come by, and Todd especially would tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, when you're ready to get real about this music you're recording, let me know. I want to help. And Lemmy was the same way. And Phil needed a roadie to fill in for a guy who couldn't come overseas one time. So I jumped out on the road with them, and I was their guitar tech for a little while. And, you know, they just really pushed me to do the artist side of it, rather than, you know, I'm a much better artist than I am a tech, let's put it that way. And I would sit with Lemmy in the back of the tour bus, and we would share lyrics, and you know, just what an out-of-body experience. And then, you know, fast forward a few years, when I was kind of a little burned out on touring with Steven Adler, because, you know, he's the captain of that ship, you know. I wasn't able to really plan out my life or get to the heights and the stardom that I so desire. So I finally gave that call to Lemmy and Todd, and I asked them, and I told them, I think I'm ready to do this. And they did. They got behind me. They threw me in the studio with Paul, and Budderside was officially, legitimately born.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And you had the opportunity to work with some of the great ones like Jay, Hobby. So how did you guys all got together and get into this project of band, and how did it all happen to you?
With who? With Jay?
With Jay.
With Jay Baumgartner?
Yes, yes.
Oh, the producer. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He, again, another indirect. It's like, it's so funny, the 6 degrees of separation, right? But so Motorhead Music had signed a few bands, and the other group was Barbed Wire Dolls. Love those guys so much. Cool punk rock, you know, glam element to them. And I thought they were going to take over the world. We would all get together, and I just felt like this majorly special thing was happening. But we became really close friends, and they had been doing some studio work over at NRG with Jay. Mm-hmm. And we were talking one night, and I think it was just around the time we'd gotten back from the UK, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting ready to, you know, do a record. And they recommended that I really go over and see Jay. So they actually made the introduction to Jay. And then I had that meeting. I sat down with Jay out at NRG, and, you know, I kind of bullshitted my way through saying I had enough songs to do this thing. And he had listened to the first record, and he was super excited about it. And by the time he came over for rehearsals, I'd lived up to my promise, and we had enough songs to fulfill the album. And working with him was incredible. You know, he came in and kind of reorganized a lot of the structure of some of the songs, made things make a lot more sense. The ensemble of all of the things that come with this studio, all of the toys and the microphones and the instruments and stuff that have all been all of our favorite records that you and I listen to on a daily basis. It's incredibly hard to fathom that a lot of those records were all a lot of the same instruments and studios were used to create those. And NRG is the hub for a lot of that. And Jay is definitely the ringmaster that brings it all together. So it was just an out of body, like it was surreal to be there. It was like my second home. We got to spend 2 months there, which is an incredibly long time, but I wanted to make sure we had enough time. And Danny Penpuri is like the co-producer on the record. He did so much to make that whole thing happen. But we definitely, grew up a lot through that process. It was a huge, growing evolution of Budderside in that whole recording process.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. And Patrick, like I know you came out of the drug stuffs and now you're clean. And we know a lot of musicians who has fallen prey to drugs and have lost their lives. And recently, one of your close friends, West, passed away too. So, what is your message would be for the people who are affected by this demon thing, and what would your suggestion be for them to come out of this?
It's a rite of passage. For me, I wouldn't be who I am if I hadn't gone down that path. And I'm so grateful for the spiritual education that came along with it. And I feel like I am who I am. And I wouldn't be that person if it wasn't for all of that suffering and kind of that perspective on the world. So it's like, I still don't like, I would recommend not to do drugs at all. And I think it's amazing when people are, clued into the fact that they don't need to do that in order to be cool. You can be like, I look at Sam Bam Colton, the perfect example of this, my guitar player presently and forever. He's never touched drugs in his life, and he has no interest in it. His drug is music. So there are other things in the world that you can get high off of. Your dreams and your goals are the number one thing. I think you'll benefit a lot more by staying focused on those things and getting the true excitement and the true rush of life. Is worth so much more than a fleeting high that you might get from dope. And of course, it's a distraction. And the thing that I would encourage most of all is just, if you're going to do it, get in, enjoy it, and get out, because I just focused on it for too long. And then I ended up relying on that to be my happiness. It fooled me into thinking that everything was cool because I was laughing and high and not really paying attention to the important things, while my entire life fell apart. And then before I knew it, it was too late. And only by the grace of God was I saved. I basically hell bent for, I was going for suicide and, overdose after overdose. And I'm just really lucky to have gotten out alive. So I don't recommend it. I think that the world is so full of promise, and there's nothing you can't achieve. And, don't do it, and if you're doing it, stop, because you'll hurt a lot of people that care about you. And it's not just West. I've lost more people than I can count on my fingers, for sure, to, the wrath that drugs took on their bodies, or or overdoses, and, died right then and there. So I've seen my fair share. I said it before, I've lost more friends to drugs than most soldiers have lost to bullets and bombs. So, there it is.
Thanks, Patrick. And Patrick, would you like to share some of the great moments that you had over the years?
The great moments. Believe it or not, being crammed into a little tiny car, driving across Sweden with my bros, from one show to the next, but the places you stop in between, seeing all the castles and just seeing the world, traveling all over Europe. And I don't know. My finest hours are definitely the ones where I'm standing on stage, looking out at more people than I can imagine. And, catching somebody singing back your lyrics to you is just always like the biggest rush of life. So yeah, I live for those moments in the future, and I hope that they get bigger and brighter and better. But, there's nothing like getting out there and literally you have every reason to cry and complain about everything that's going on. You haven't washed your clothes, you haven't had a shower, but yet you're with this family and you're on this path and you have this purpose. And it's just such a rush. There's finest moments in life too, or these videos that we've been creating, and like to see them come to life and to feel like the universe is trying to help, because some impossible things just pop out of nowhere, and you get these signs that like encourage you and reassure you that you're on the right path, you know.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. And I know from since 2020, it has been a huge effect on the bands. Couldn't tour, couldn't do anything much other than sitting inside home making more music. That's what the bands are doing lately. So, what
Right.
would be the next plans as would be for in terms of touring?
Well, we took the whole COVID thing as an excuse to get very creative, you know, right off the bat. I mean, I think I saw it coming earlier than, I mean, I could see it coming before it all happened, you know, the shutdowns and everything else. And I felt like it was our excuse. You know, we were on the verge of releasing a record, and I didn't want to stop that momentum.
Mhm.
So we released Spiritual Violence, but at the same time, we did, like in October we filmed, in March we filmed Wide Awake. In October we filmed Amber Alert. In December we finally put out Zen, and then Part of Me, and then Wide Awake, and then Amber Alert, all by March. And we were writing like crazy. I got to putting my heads together with some of my favorite people in the music industry, in the business, and we formulated this great plan. And the whole plan is coming to fruition right here, August 27th. We plan on releasing some of the new material that we've been working on already since COVID hit. We went all the way out to Tempe, Arizona, and our producer Matt Good and the band created some of the most incredible music I've ever imagined. And I think that everybody else that hears it is going to feel the same. And we couldn't release it without also giving you an amazing video for each track. So we plan on slamming down your throats one song every 6 weeks for the next year or so, until all of the 8 to 10 tracks that we've recorded with Matt are out. And then we'll call that a box set, release it as an album, and then probably keep releasing more stuff. But in the meantime, we have Rocklahoma on the books. We're going out to Oklahoma to play for, you know, that whole huge festival out there with Slipknot and Rob Zombie, and a barrage of just incredible artists that we're so fortunate to be on the bill with. Falling in Reverse, Butcher Babies, Bad Flower. Super exciting. And we've got a new agent, and they're booking us plenty of shows on the way out and on the way back, and we're making some money. So it's starting to feel like real. It's feeling like you know, it's legit. It's not a dream anymore. It's just something we get up and we do every morning until we go to sleep. So it's great. Yeah, that's the plan. That's what we got ahead of us. Are you excited?
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
So, what would be the dream for you and the band in the future?
The goal is like 60,000 people at least 3 times a week. At least, you know, we don't mind a few filler shows, but let's get a good, you know, 18, you know, 180,000 people a week. Let's hit that, you know. I mean, there's plenty of bands out there that are working with the people that we are now a part of the same family, and they are doing those things like it's, you know, it's their job, you know, like it's their day job. And it is, and that's exactly what we want out of it, and we're headed right into that. So that's the dream, that's the goal, spreading the message, and, you know, getting that back from the people that, like, you know, you've lived your whole life and you've worked so hard to become something, so that you can stand up there and share that with as many people as possible on a daily basis. That's the dream, that's the goal, and that's the mission.
Sounds amazing. And Patrick,
Yeah.
finally, what would be the message for your fans around the world?
Our message, if you can sum it up in one sentence, I don't know. This is, as you can see, I babble on and babble on and babble on. One message, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what that is. I'm not the salesperson I'd like to be, but I think that, you know, that if you have a dream, you know, you have something you really want to do with your life, no matter what it is, you know, saving lives, being a doctor, you know, helping the environment, whatever it is, you know, no matter how big those numbers are and how scary they might be, don't be afraid to be everything you can, because you can be everything that you imagine. You just have to do it, you know, have the courage to do it and work hard at it every single day. And I think, I believe you'll get there, as I believe we will too. Yeah.
Sounds great, Patrick. And Patrick, thank you so much for giving me the time today in your busy schedule.
Uh,
And thank you so much for the music that you have been giving to the music fraternity around the world. Thank you so much for that. And thanks again. It's a pleasure talking to you today.
I appreciate you so much. Thanks for bringing us to India and around the world, man. So nice talking to you. Thank
Nice
you.
talking to you as well, Patrick. Take care. Bye bye.
All right. Peace, man.